Three, two, one, go! Three, two, one, go!
One, two, coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John, you know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They're getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man. Hope your channel is doing real well on YouTube. Hope you guys are having fun. And it was an honor and blessing to do this little custom freestyle for y'all. Hope you enjoy.
Alrighty, let's do this one more time. It's December 7th, 2023, and you have the pleasure of watching and or listening to episode 362 of the PHP Ugly podcast. It's a podcast by real developers who work with PHP every day, who run a business built on PHP every day, and who enjoy the PHP community as a whole. We get together every Thursday night, right around this time, and just kind of talk about our week, see how things went, what's happening in the community, what's happening in internals, things that interest us. The show's made a little better thanks to some supporters, sponsors. Yeah, sponsors. That's who we're talking about. Sponsors. JetBrains PhpStorm and honeybadger.io, as well as our company, PHP Architect, and as well as some supporters on Patreon. We'll talk about all of them a little bit later. For now, what you need to know is if you want to be part of the show, if you're not aware, head over to discord.phpugly.com. You can participate in the live show, ask questions, give title suggestions, all those fun things. So head over there. The Discord goes all week long. Some really, really smart people in there. Lots of people from the PHP community and just fun people to hang out with. I'm your host, Eric Van Johnson. And joining me tonight, hosting with me tonight, John Congdon.
So you said we like the PHP community as a whole. There's that one little section of the community. Nah, just kidding.
Well, there's Ben Ramsey. Right? still a little bitter on that one.
Wasn't gonna name him by name, but you did it, so we'll go with that.
How's it going, John?
It's going good and bad and everywhere in between.
All right, before we get to that,
lots to talk about tonight.
Let me tell you something. You know the I don't know what you call it, the video we play after we send out the tweets when we start the stream, saying the stream is starting soon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when I created that, I took one of our videos and I put our faces up there with us talking. And initially, some people thought that was us, like getting ready for the show.
I think that every time I see it.
I kind of thought that in the back of my head when I was making it. I'm like, I feel like I'm trolling people. I got caught with it today. I'm sitting here, I'm doing a few things before the show. And I look up, I'm like, I can't hear you, John. You're talking. I can't hear you.
Every week I watch that. I think it's you, and it's not.
Oh,
man. We should do that. We should find a way to put us up there without sound or something. I don't know.
I mean, we could do it with OBS, but I don't think we'll do it with Restream.
Yeah, and we don't need to fire up OBS just for that.
Let's not go down that road again.
Let's not. All right. So I said good, bad, everywhere in between. Let's start with the bad, shall we?
I'm just gonna rip that Band-Aid right off for you.
Let's rip that Band-Aid off. People were asking last week. Obviously, Tom wasn't on the show last week, not on this week. Just want to make the statement that Thomas stepped away from PHP Ugly. We want to thank him for all of his contributions over the years and hope him well in his future endeavors. And we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to pick up from there.
It is. All right. So we talked about the low. Let's talk about the highs. Let's talk about our weeks.
Are you doing pod again? Oh, just the weekends, All right. What was your high this week? Let me hear it.
My high this week was probably having lunch with you and a friend of ours. We shouldn't name names. I don't think Guinness Bucky would want people to know he's hanging out with us. Yeah. Probably not. So yeah, we're just planning on going to lunch with the guy and just have a great conversation, and it turned out to be better than we thought. So
hopefully better than we thought. Yeah, it was a good one.
It was real good.
And he's a really cool guy. I do enjoy hanging out with him. It's funny how many flights I've been on with him. We ended up flying home together from Nashville at Laracon. I didn't even know he was going to Laracon. And I'm walking around and I'm like, I look up and he's standing in front of me. I'm like, oh, look, you're here.
He's like, yeah, because I'm stalking you. Duh. Like you have one of my Apple AirTags on you.
Is that what I've been feeling?
That's that weird beeping noise in your back pocket.
Yeah, and then we caught a flight down to Austin with him from Longhorn, so kind of seemed to cross paths with him a lot. But cool guy.
Probably won't catch a flight with him to Tech.
No, that's happening though, huh? We're still doing that. That's gonna be a thing.
We're still doing that.
We had a pretty exciting week last week. We wrapped up Call for Papers and started our first round of kind of what we like and don't like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll get to that in a few minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. Going back to lows, I'm bouncing all over the place. Highs, lows, or lows, highs, lows. What we were doing before meeting NS Bucky was opening a new business checking account.
Oh, good.
That was a pain in the ass just to get through that. But the reason we are doing this is because we are finally, on a sad note, shutting down Diego Dev Group.
Officially, 100%.
Officially at the end of this year. We didn't do anything with it this year. I think technically we probably could have shut it down last year and saved a little bit in taxes. But yeah, it's a sad day. We've had that for over 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's going to be no longer.
Yeah. It was always yeah. Bittersweet. That's all I can say about that.
Definitely.
Yeah. So what else you have? You said you sound like you're going up and down like you're falling off a ladder or something.
Dude, jackass. All right, another low. Saturday, I was up in the rafters of my garage and decided to take a tumble off of a ladder, and I can't. Whoa! Look at that.
Oh wait, flip that around.
That didn't work so well. Woo. Big old bruises. Yeah, I'm just up on the top of the ladder, knowing it's a stupid move, but I'm up in the rafters secure. Like I'm sitting, I have a pull-up bar up there and I'm sitting on top of that. No worries. I get the box I want and I set it on the edge so that I can climb down 2 or 3 rungs before grabbing it and make that first move. And I felt the ladder just, and I'm like, that's okay. I'm holding on up here as the ladder falls, and nope, I'm not holding on to my body weight. Just come crashing down.
Damn. And the really funny thing about it is John isn't the only friend I have that fell off a ladder last week or this week, and my other friend, will not mention that name, but broke bones. So that was weird. And then I come home and my wife tells me, my wife tells me she just ordered me a 22-foot ladder. I'm like, who you been talking to? Is this like a conspiracy? Is this how you're killing off all the husbands? Having to, have accidents on ladders? I see. I know how it goes. I got you.
Yeah. Kevin says it looks like I sustained significant trauma. No, I didn't break anything. If you don't know, I had a heart attack 5 years ago, so I'm on medication, especially blood thinners, so I bruise super easily. It's not, so it looks way worse than it is. I got up, I walked it off, and I was fine. Your current wife is calling you out, by the way.
I know that's not such good content. I'm trying to make content in here. This is why I could never become a professional comedian. The current wife would just get online.
She'd heckle you from the front row. That's not how it went, you liar.
You're way smaller than that. What are you talking about? I do love the current wife. I almost lost the current wife today. Well, that's probably an exaggeration, but she had a little mishap herself with a hot glue gun. Not sure really? How it was. It's pretty bad. We haven't wrapped up now, so I haven't seen it since we put some ointment on it and some gauze and wrapped it up. But she got herself really good, and it was funny because we're looking at it. I'm like, is that glue or is that skin? I think it's glue. Like, nope, that's skin. No, it's skin. That's all skin.
That's not good. Ugh.
No,
I've hit the hot glue gun before. It's not fun.
And it wasn't even the glue gun itself. We're doing Christmas decorations, and she's a little crafty, and she's gluing on Christmas ornaments bulbs so that it it makes this decoration on her stair banner, and she puts one on, and she lets it go, and it starts to fall, and without thinking about it, she just reaches out and grabs it, and then all that hot glue just hit right on top of her hand. I felt bad.
Sorry to hear that.
I mean, I felt bad. I laughed
quick.
when it happened, but
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, well, the first time I fell off a ladder over 10 years ago, or 20 years ago at this point, my wife watched it happen and laughed at me.
Was that your first wife?
That was the first wife, yeah. She saw it and she's like, it was very nervous laughter because that's what she does, but yeah, I got laughed at for falling off a ladder.
I'm actually the same way. Like the more anxiety I'm under, and the more like concern I have, I used to start like trying to be funny and laughing all the time, and it's I don't know. It's like a tick or something. It's so weird because I do it in it's like some of the most inappropriate times.
Okay, so I shared my bruise, and now Kevin is in Discord sharing a picture of his bruise on his arm. How is a pec tear showing up on your bicep? I don't understand that. Isn't your pec on your chest? What am I missing there? I mean, I'm not the most fit person. I don't know how.
Well, maybe
the
that's
muscles.
where the blood pooled. I ripped my hamstring once, and I ended up with a bruise from my ankle to my cheek. And it was just like the blood, pulling. It was horrible.
Ugh. it sounds terrible. A pec tear and a hamstring tear, all of it. See, that's why I don't work out. I'm just sit and do nothing. No risk of ripping anything.
Yeah.
Detached. Ugh. The pec muscle attaches to the top of the arm near the armpit, and not detached.
That's good. That's real good. Can we try to pick up the show? Like maybe
Yeah.
put a little bit of
Yeah.
It's just like this one's hurting a little bit.
You talked about we were getting through the sessions. Man, that is a process.
Oh yeah,
I have some ideas for next year. Remind me to talk about it later. But
let's talk about this year right now.
Let's talk about this year.
It's the process for this first round is it's all anonymous. All you see if you're one of the people voting is the title of the presentation and the abstract, right? Because that's all they have to submit. It's not like the whole presentations are necessarily done. So it's just the title and an abstract. And the way this process works is it shows you 3 of them, and you basically rank them 1 to 3. Oh, you rank all of them, ideally 1 to 3. Which one. So it's like you're at the conference saying, okay, I'll go to this one, but if it's too crowded, I'll go to that one. And if that's too crowded, I'll just go to this one and do some work. It's that sort of mentality. And it shows you at the top, like how close you are, how much you've finished, the percentage completed. But that percentage goes down and up. I still don't freaking understand that. And for the main talks, what did we have? Like 250 or something, or
almost 300.
Almost 300. And so it was like I joked in our company Slack, it took me over an hour to get like 1% at one point. I'm like, what's going on here? I got to the point where I was just trying to figure out what the algorithm wanted me to say. I'm like, what do you want from me? What answer do you? What's the right answer?
So we had a couple of viewers step up and they wanted to participate. One of them finished, one of them didn't. You're talking about the percentages going up and down. You see the same talk multiple times because the whole thing is it's trying to compare it's almost like a sorting algorithm to a point. When you read the documentation on Sessionize, it's really cool. It's using the chess ELO algorithm. So when one session beats another, it gets so many points, and it ends up ranking it. I have some interesting stats on this afterwards, looking at it all. as you are reviewing them, you can rate 2 talks like a 1. Like I told everyone, look just at the title first, because most people that go to a conference, you start looking at the titles and you're like, I want to go to this, I want to go to that. So if you could say, based on those 3, this is what I would go to, perfect. And then if you got to a point where like, oh, I really would love to see this OAuth talk and this security talk, whatever it is, then you look at the description and try to make your decision from that. So you could say these 2 I would definitely go to and rank them both a 1. There was a drop down there that you didn't use that you could say this doesn't fit, like don't show this one, or yeah, this is a for sure, it has to be in there, right?
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So
there were a couple for sures for me too.
Right. So you didn't use that at all. For just the main talks, you spent 1 hour 47 minutes. So you spent about 22.4 seconds per like review.
I feel like I'm getting graded here. Go
You
ahead.
You are. I'm trying to find my mouse. I spent 1 hour and 41 minutes, so almost the same, 21 seconds per talk. I did doesn't fit on one talk because there was one that I know for sure that I wasn't going to have.
There was a couple of those for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about that one later. A viewer of the show didn't do any of those. He spent 2 hours and 12 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's dedication right there.
It is. 27 seconds per little review. One of our employees spent 1.5 hours, so less than 20 seconds per review. 47 doesn't fit. When you look at the rating distribution, because all of this is ratings, right? As you're doing this, the ratings are going up and down. It should be a bell curve, and most of ours are. His is a whoop, whoop, whoop. It's the funniest little curve on here. It's great. Yeah, so it took so much time, but honestly, there were so many that were like, I cannot choose between these. I'm so excited about it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next round where it's just you and I and kind of talking through some things.
Right.
So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. All right, let's take a moment and give some time and thanks to one of our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Thanks to JetBrains and PhpStorm for partnering with us. PhpStorm is a cutting-edge IDE tailored for PHP and web developers. Whether you're a newcomer or it's just been a hot minute since your last dive-in, there's never been a better time to revisit. With a slick, clean new UI, blazing speed enhancements, and a richer toolkit, it's transforming the way we code. It's time to start coding like a professional. Visit jetbrains.com/PHPStorm and kick off your 30-day free trial. Code smarter, not harder.
Thanks,
Thank
PHPStorm.
you, PHPStorm. Hey, if you're in Discord, don't forget to submit title suggestions.
How do they do that, John?
You do that by doing bang, ! title, and then give us a title suggestion. I'm sure somebody any second now will submit one so that you can see how to do it. And it'll show up right over there.
A-Woods is still up, so nobody's going to submit a title now. Let's just wait for A-Woods to figure out what the show is going to be titled.
Yeah, I can't wait to go through the 47. Speaking of A-Woods, the 47 that don't fit. And I want to see the rationale. Like, what was he thinking on that?
Oh, you just gave away A-Woods was one of the people.
No, I was saying A-Woods said it up here. 47 doesn't fit. That person was brutal with their evaluations. It was not A-Woods. It was an employee of ours.
Oh, okay. All right.
I want to go through his through him and see what happened.
All right, so I'm going to take a quick moment and talk. We talked about PHP Tech, and if you're in the PHP world, You definitely want to be at PHP Tech. It's coming up in April. These are the talks we're talking about, right? Are the talks for PHP Tech. So we've got a ton of talks. We've expanded the session rooms. We're going to have the same, not lineup, same schedule that we had last year, where the first day, each day we're going to have 30-minute talks before lunch. The first day we're going to have 3-hour talks after lunch. So like a session, a full training session. And then besides that, everything else is going to be an hour. And it's coming up really, really fast, like much faster than I would like it to. But on top of that, I've mentioned a couple times that I've gotten more involved with my open source roots again. And, again, PHP is open source, so I feel good about this. And I've been helping out with another, it's called an expo, but it's a conference. I don't know what the difference between a conference and an expo is, but it's called an expo here in Southern California. If you happen to be in the Southern California area and you're into open source, anything about IT, networking, security, they have tracks for everything. Scale 21X is coming up, and I'll put a link to it in the show notes. However, I am on the committee. I am one of the volunteers. I am helping with this conference as well. And as a thank you, no, not really as a thank you, they're doing it anyways, but they're going to create a discount code, a 50% off discount code for listeners. It'll be, I can even tell you, well, I asked for the discount code UGLY, ugly. I don't know if I'm going to get it. I don't know what their process is, but that's what I submitted, was ugly. So if you happen to be in Southern California, or if you're going to be around Southern California area when Scale's happening, drop by. It's a very affordable conference expo. And like I said, it's just, in my meeting today, actually, the person I was talking to, I'm like, I feel like there were over 1,000 people there last year. And they were like, yeah, there was a lot more than 1,000 people there. I'm like, okay, well, it was a big place. I didn't see everybody all at once. I'm sorry. So it's like a lot of people, just about everybody in the open source world, community, companies, user groups, all that. They're there typically. As a matter of fact, that's one of the first events John and I did way back in the day, before we had the company, right? Did we have the company back then?
Yeah, it was Scale 11. Yeah, we did, because that's when we met Kalen and then started talking to him.
Yeah, what a mistake that was. But no, I joke. Kalen is still with us. He's one of our most valuable, employees, only because he knows a lot of shit that he won't tell anybody. It's really kind of frustrating.
Or keep asking him. How does this work? I don't know.
So yeah, any questions on that, hit me up in Discord. I mean, I don't have a lot of information that you can't find on the website, but hold off on buying tickets if it interests you.
Hold off on buying tickets.
Well, until we get the cool discount code.
Hopefully.
They're cool discount codes. And they even told us, they're like, we don't do any tracking. Like, we don't care. We don't pay attention to how many people use what discount code. I'm like, yeah, but it's still cool.
Still want to know. So they're saying that they couldn't give you any numbers afterwards, like out of curiosity?
No, they don't keep any metrics on it. They don't care. Yeah. You're so disappointed.
I just don't know how you don't keep metrics on stuff like that. Like, if you have a sale, you have to know, okay, they only paid this much because of what? And there has to be some way to track that. Like,
I mean, it's very hardcore, privacy first, open source. It's not about the money. It's not about Lamborghinis and stuff like that. It's about community. It's about education. It's about freedom and sharing. So, yeah, that's just the mentality of that world.
Gotcha. Let's talk about some of the some other things going on. We'll get back.
Okay.
There's gonna be a lot of tech talk in the next couple of months. Only 137 days. Is that what I said? Yeah.
That can't be right. Really?
Uh,
What were we
that's what the
thinking moving it up a month? Jesus.
that's what the calendar says. I saw some interesting videos, and we both have a video by this guy, and I'm not sure how that happened, but we do. I guess he's making some
Okay.
big moves recently.
So I actually sent out a tweet. You're talking about the Planet Scale guy, right?
Yeah.
What's his
He
name?
doesn't have a Planet Scale. He doesn't have a name.
He doesn't have a name. Yeah, he's just a
Yeah.
Planet Scale guy.
Yeah.
That's fine. So I was
It's Ryan Magoon.
Magoon. What a great name, Magoon. I want that name.
I'm assuming that's his name. That's what's in the thumbnail.
I feel like that's not it. I thought his name started. Anyway.
Oh, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought his name started with an A, like Aaron or something like that, but I don't know. I don't know anything. All I know is the guy knows his SQL, or he knows, his SQL language.
I hope so. He works at a database place. Aaron Francis. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that. This is why we have Discord. If you're listening to audio podcasts, this is why we have Discord. They help us out throughout the show. I sent out a tweet about how I've never been like very strong with my SQL foo. And I always leaned heavily on GUIs and PHP MyAdmin back in the day to get my SQL work done. And of recent years, I've made it an effort to get better at how I extract data, but I still wasn't good like managing the actual database. And I'm still not. It's not like this magically fixed all that. But I sent out a tweet about a video he did about joins. And of course, I just kind of started binge watching all the videos on this. And another one really caught my attention. Let me just throw it over here. We've talked, if you listen to the show for any amount of time, you know that I do database stuff, relational database stuff, but I also do document stores as well. My document store is CouchDB is the one I really go to because it's such an easy document store to use. I remember when I forget if it was MySQL 8 or if they'd done it right before. I think right before they came out with the JSON column type, and then MySQL 8 was like this, oh, this can be a document store or it could be a relational database sort of thing. And of course that piqued my interest, but
it's when they started adding indexes where you can index specific parts of a JSON document.
Right.
Which made it way more useful.
And that's we had David Stowe. What's
Stokes?
Dave Stokes did a presentation early when this happened, and I remember looking and I'm like, I'm so confused. Like I don't understand what the benefit of it is or how it works, and then I've never used it. I use the JSON column type just as like I want a JSON formatted data in here, but I never knew how to kind of traverse that data easily and find stuff. And man, if there wasn't a video on that, it was it says you don't need NoSQL, use MySQL.
I see. I want to know more about that. I haven't watched this one yet, and I'm going to now. He's saying use MySQL.
Wait till after the show.
Yeah. Is it because Planet Scale is built on MySQL that he's like making that declaration? Because you would think he would say use Planet Scale instead of MySQL, right?
I've got to be honest. So like I said, I binge watched him, and he does a really good job. It is Planet Scale.
It's Planet Scale's YouTube channel.
Yeah. But they are not shoving Planet Scale down your throat by any means. He'll go several videos. Yeah. He'll go several videos and not even mention it. I saw a couple of videos where he did, and Yeah, for the most part. It did get me back into PlanetScale. I'm like, it's been a while since I've checked it out. And if you recall, if you again listen to the show, you know that when I tried PlanetScale, I struggled because PlanetScale didn't do foreign key restraints. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so if you had that in your database, it complained. Now, me myself at that time, and still today, I was kind of on board with that. I'm like, being if you work in CouchDB, especially the document store, you start to get accustomed to all the validation and everything, all the data integrity getting pushed onto the developer and not being managed by the database. So I had already kind of gone down this pathway. I'm like, yeah, I'm good with this, but unfortunately, Laravel apps are, I'm sure Symfony apps are the same way. You start pulling in packages, and next thing you know, it has a migration in it that requires some key constraints. So it was like, I can't use this, and I just dumped it. Well, now in beta, it's in beta. It's not like a official part of PlanetScale, but now in beta, they have foreign key constraints.
Really?
Yep.
I
So
wonder if it's because that was a deterrent to a lot of people adopting them.
I gotta think it was, right? I gotta think
Yeah.
that a lot of people complained about it and said that that was the reason they weren't using it.
So we're talking about dang it, databases, and I am super excited that a the main project that I work on, I am finally getting to denormalize some of the data. We have one of our biggest tables is it's currently 400 gigs. I forget how many millions of records in it. It's just massive. Making any sort of schema change to it takes 6 hours on SSD drives. It's just crazy. The top 4 queries probably make up 90% of the load on the database. It is just that bad. And I'm like,
What? That can't be.
yeah,
You're exaggerating, right?
no, I'm being dead serious because of the data that is being searched on. It's hitting other tables and then having to, like, the two main properties it's looking for are in this 400 gig table and another table, and just pulling that data just doesn't work very well, and it is just terrible. And I've been advocating, like, we need to add some columns to the table, but when you tell a company, hey, this is going to be 6 hours of downtime, it's like, do we really have to right now? And we finally got to a point where, yeah, we're finally going to do it. We've gotten into a good rhythm of, we're going to set a maintenance window, and we are okay with it being down. It's not officially down. It's not downtime like counting against you at the end of the year. It's, here's a maintenance window, make it happen. And I get to add like 3 or 4 columns to a couple different tables, and I cannot wait till it's probably gonna be 2 or 3 weeks before I see any sort of benefit, because of I think I laid out a 4-step process. Get the tables added, then later I have to find a way to keep the data in sync, right? When the data is updated, update this field. The 3rd step is backporting all the previous data. And when you're talking about hundreds of millions of records, that's going to take a lot of time. So I got to get all of the back data ported. Then I can finally optimize the queries. On that date, I'm going to be super stoked. Like, I want to see that CPU graph just kind of plummet.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be so nice.
Would you ever consider, and they're not a sponsor of the show, you guys know, we'd let you know if they were, but would you ever consider using a service like PlanetScale?
For a new project, yes. For an
Really?
existing, especially for this project, I can't see ever doing that. Like, there's been a couple times where, let me state, they do have an RDS database, but for the main part of the application, they've brought it into RDS a couple of times and it hasn't performed well. And I don't know what the reasoning is. I wasn't part of that, but I can't see them letting go of the control over the database and trusting it to someone like PlanetScale.
See
Now
that
they do have good.
I would say the thing I was thinking about with PlanetScale, not trusting. I don't necessarily. I have as much trust in PlanetScale as I do DigitalOcean or Amazon. The thing that I keep kind of balking on is the concept that my database is nowhere near my web server. Like, I understand in the Amazon environment, in the DigitalOcean environment, like, they might not necessarily be in the same rack, same server, same data center, but they're within that network. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that network. The
Hopefully, yeah.
yeah, the idea of my application being dependent on a database that's completely somewhere else. It's just like I struggle with that, and I don't know. Now, I'm not worried about performance in a lot of the stuff I think about using it for, because I'm just those applications aren't to that level. So, but like, where is that performance threshold? Like, when does that start to really be a concern? Because it can't be the same as if everything's in a closer networked area. So I don't know, man. I struggle with that.
It's going to depend on how much data you're really pushing. Like that connection time, yeah, it might be a couple of milliseconds more to go, a few hundred miles away or wherever it's at, even a couple of thousand miles. But if you're pushing and pulling a lot of data over the public internet, you would think there's got to be a performance hit, but they're obviously doing it, and there's obviously big companies using something like PlanetScale.
So Buttery said, would PlanetScale help at all with bad schemas and unoptimized queries? So here's the thing about that. Yes, in a way, only from the perspective of they'll let you throw more RAM, more CPU at it as much as you're willing to pay. So yeah, it would help you, but not in a good way. The same way Amazon or DigitalOcean would be willing to help you. Just like, yeah, get a bigger machine. It'll go faster.
Yeah, Kevin is also saying that for him, something like PlanetScale is a definite no. You need some kind of highly unusual circumstance to need something more advanced than relational DBs. It's not so much more of being more advanced. It's using PlanetScale, from my understanding. Again, I haven't used it. I knew somebody that worked there a couple years ago. They moved on, but they take away the database management. You no longer have to keep it up to date. The replication piece, the backup piece, like there's a lot of stuff that PlanetScale does for you that you no longer have to deal with.
Right. And to be clear, it sounds like maybe we confused you a little bit. PlanetScale is a relational database. They have, I believe they have MySQL and Postgres instances. They do primary, secondary for you. Not only that, one of the really cool things they do is you can create branches. So like you have your production database and you're doing some work and you need production data. You just create a branch from the production database called development. You do your work and you can just like create all these branches off of one database. So it is a relational database. It is MySQL or Postgres. I'm sorry if we led you astray there. That is 100% what it is.
Yeah, it's just a different take on it. And again, the management piece, the maintenance piece, also is a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's basically they're basically your. No, I can't say they're your outsourced DBAs because I think DBAs would help you with queries. And I don't know. I have never paid for a PlanetScale instance. They do have a free tier, so maybe with your paid instance, they do help you with queries and stuff. I don't know, but they are like DBAs from the sense that you don't have to worry about a server, you don't have to worry about uptime, you don't have to worry about backups. They're handling all that stuff for you. God damn it, they're not sponsoring the show. They're not sponsoring.
Why do we keep talking about
Stop talking about them. Well, okay, but you have a video from Aaron as well. What's your video?
I actually have a couple that have been there recently. This read the docs has nothing to do with databases. we will move that over so people can see this. It's just one of those just pieces of advice. If you want to succeed in your career, in whatever you're doing, don't do what I do, because that's terrible. I read just enough of the docs to get something working. Like, I need to use this library. What do I need to know real quick? What are the pieces? And he's that if you want to know something, you need to read you need to know how things work. You need to know what you don't know. And I'm terrible about doing that, and I want to do it more, even though I advocate for that with the magazine, conferences, user groups. It's like, you need to do this. Reading is just that next step, right? Reading the docs of the libraries you're using. And
what's funny, and this is how twisted Aaron is. He is a twisted individual. When he had this video, because I watched this video as well, he printed out the SQL database, the MySQL documents. He printed them out, bound them. He had little, side notes all through his. I'm like, I like this guy. He's twisted. He looks like he'd still buy a print magazine. I'm digging it. I'm digging him.
Yeah, it's good stuff. There's actually another one by him that I watched this morning, and I shared it with our client on computed values.
Yeah, that was a great one. Yeah.
We should put that in there. I didn't like the bad guy, good guy, even though he clarified it within his video.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
in your email address, you can put your email address plus something, and it's still the same email address.
In Gmail.
I
Gmail
think,
and
no, that's
Google Suites.
any email server.
Are you really? I didn't know it was any email server.
I think that's part of the SMTP protocol.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah, I don't think that's a Gmail thing. Gmail takes it one step further and says, when you do that, I am also going to tag your email. I think that might be the nuance there.
Mm-hmm.
But in his video, he starts by saying, oh, if you want to sign up for a free trial of something and then you don't get enough out of it, you could just add a plus something, and now you have a new account. So it could be john@gmail.com and then john+1@gmail.com, and now you have an infinite number of email addresses, which is easy to do with your own domain anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. But it was a great introduction to computed values and how to index on computed values. I think that was my biggest takeaway. Was with MySQL, I knew about virtual computed and stored computed values. I wasn't aware that you could index on a computed value. And that was just like, somebody told me that. Somebody watched the video and said that back to me. And I'm like, no, he's using the stored value.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went back and watched that section. I'm like, oh crap, I missed that. No, he's using a virtual computed value.
Yep.
Indexing on it, and it still works. I'm like, okay, it's even cooler.
All right.
I love learning.
We did do our PhpStorm sponsor segment, and we should have probably followed up with this, but JetBrains has now officially released their AI service. And I've been using this kind of like a little bit. If you're not familiar with what JetBrains AI is, it's like the GitHub Copilot. It's their official branded version that's focused on, I assume, focused on the languages that their IDEs offer. And funny enough, now that I say it out loud, I realized when I fired up DataGrip, it's also in DataGrip, which I don't know how that would work. I guess you can ask it how to create queries and how to optimize databases. Maybe I should try that. That might be a good idea. Anyways, they've released. It's not free. It's not even free with your IDE, which the IDEs are not cheap. And it's, in my opinion, not cheap, but on par with all these other AI services. It's about $8 to $9 a month, which ends up I mean, end of day ends up being like $100 a year is what it is. So it's and that's if you pay for a year in advance. So I'm like, man, that's pricey. And I honestly don't use Copilot hardly ever anymore, and I use this even less. But my question is, like, I have that all products package, but I don't see it in my all products package. So is it, do they need to rename that to almost all products, like most products?
We really should check on that. So I just upgraded recently. I installed the plugin like a few weeks ago, and then put my name on the wait list. So as far as I knew, I was still on the wait list. And then I saw, oh, it's officially released. I upgraded my IDE, but I haven't done anything with it. I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, neither have I.
I
Okay.
want to address going back to computed values real quick. Kevin says, but if you can compute it, in my opinion, it doesn't make a huge difference if it's in the app layer or DB layer. Yes and no. If it's just a computed value and you don't care about it, app layer is fine. What he was doing in his video was making it a unique key. So while I could create a john+2@gmail.com account before, now it's a computed value of, yeah, you gave me john+2, but I'm going to store that. You're going to log in with that because that's what you gave me the first time. The second time you go to create an account, it's going to fail because it fails on the unique index. Again, whether that is app layer or DB layer, he makes a point either way. But I like that uniqueness in there because if you're solely relying on the app layer, you have a race condition at that point.
That's
Whereas,
true.
if it's at the DB layer, if you have two signups at the same time for that same address, the database is going to stop it.
Yeah. Okay, since we talked a little bit more about our great sponsor, PhpStorm, let's take a moment and thank Honeybadger.
To our friends at HoneyBadger.io for sponsoring this podcast. I looked for a long time for a monitoring tool that would work for me, something that was going to be simple and get to the point. I needed clear, actionable intelligence on what I did wrong, not walls of charts and reams of logs to tail. That's why I use HoneyBadger, the monitoring tool we always wanted. A tool that's there when you need it and gets out of your way when you don't, so that you can keep shipping. Know when critical errors occur and which customers are affected, respond instantly when your systems go down, improve the health of your systems over time, and fix problems before your customers can report them. HoneyBadger is the application health monitoring tool built for you, the developer who cares about a quality product and happy customers. Be the hero of your team and sign up for a free trial and start monitoring today at honeybadger.io. Setup takes as little as 5 minutes. See what you've been missing and fix it. Once again, that's honeybadger.io. Now let's get back to the show.
Thank you, Honeybadger.
Honeybadger.
Yes, Honeybadger. All right.
Kevin's been a good part of the show tonight. He's brought up a good point.
He's really into it, isn't he?
Yeah. Fair point. You can use database transactions to solve the race condition issue. Yes.
Not true. I'll give you that one, Kevin. Kevin seems like he's a DB guy. He knows his databases.
Yeah, I use stored procedures and triggers a lot.
So if you're listening to the audio podcast, again, we're talking about our Discord, which goes all week long at discord.phpugly.com. We had a great conversation even about somebody switching over to PhpStorm and why they liked it more than VS Code. And it's just great to have that feedback. Another great example, and I'm going to move this over. I even had this in the show notes already. I had this on my Trello board, but I believe it was A-Woods contributed a GitHub repo of a directory of YouTubers and podcasts out there that you can go listen to, and we are on that list a couple times actually, I think.
So are some other people.
So check that out. Our Discord's great.
The one I wanted to watch was Beer and Code, but unfortunately, it's in another language, and I can understand it.
Yeah, there was. So I was going to open up a issue in the repo saying you should require them to include the language so you can kind of going into it if it's something you can. I think I clicked on one or two as well where it's like, yeah, okay, cool title, but I'm not going to be able to keep up with this. It's too much.
Or because it's just a directory, so like have a directory by language.
Yeah,
would be good.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
They would just say PR's welcome.
All right, we talked about PHP Tech earlier, and we talked about call for papers, and this individual has not submitted a talk, but I am laying it out there now. They have an open invite. If they want to come talk at PHP Tech, just let us know. I am pretty sure we've had many conversations about ThePrimeagen and his reaction videos on PHP specific topics, and it's clear the guy is in love with us again. He was warming up for a couple of shows. He flat out loves PHP again. Ooh, sorry about that. I'm probably exaggerating in more wishful thinking, but ThePrimeagen has another reaction video out there. PHP isn't insecure, where he goes through a post of somebody talking about why PHP isn't insecure. I'm not going to rehash it. It's all stuff we've talked about in the past. I actually wasn't that impressed with it, but I do like seeing his reaction, ThePrimeagen's reaction, and takes on things. But I'll put that in the show notes. If you're interested in watching it, there won't be anything that kind of blows you away where you're like, oh, I didn't think about that. It's kind of the same thing. If you say it's insecure, you're probably talking about PHP from 15, 20 years ago and all this other stuff, all stuff that we rehash all the time on this show.
Exactly. But still interesting coming from somebody that put down PHP before and now coming around and has had some positive things to say as of late.
It's funny when you start seeing videos of people driving around in Lambos. You're like, hey, maybe that language wasn't so bad. Maybe I need to go take a look at that again.
Another good link that was shared in Discord earlier this week was to the externals.io, and they are now discussing a new PECL or PECL. I think it's officially PECL.
Is it PECL? I always called it PECL.
I always called it PECL too, but I think officially they call it PECL. And I don't know why that is.
Interesting.
Do you still use PECL for anything?
I have not used PECL. I can't tell you how many years I have not used PECL.
I mean, Composer does 99% of it. I think for a while, Xdebug, and I don't know if it still is installed through PECL.
I know. The last we talked to them, Swool was a PECL install. I don't know if that's still the case.
Most of the extensions are, and I want to say that probably some of the things that we install by default nowadays probably is still a PECL extension, but because Ubuntu packages it a little differently, it's just installed through the package manager, and we don't realize that's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Is my guess.
So what's this? What's the new PECL? What is that?
So they just started a Google Doc for people to start communicating on, and it's we need a new PECL or PECL. What are the requirements for that? And I like that Derek said, we're not talking about implementation here. Stop. Like, let's not go there. Let's figure out what our goals are first, and then we can start figuring out what the implementation would be for this replacement. So because it's just old. It's out of date nowadays.
So I did not read the internals. I saw this on your Trello, and I kept meaning to get to it, and I didn't get to it. Is there a reason why they're not doing their normal internals back and forth on this, and they're doing a Google Doc?
I don't know. That is a good question. I don't know if it was just to get it out of the to have a central place for it, because in the email there's all that back and forth and things get lost. So I don't know if this is like, hey, let's have a conversation about it here, but let's actually start a shared document where people can actually post to it,
Mhm. I just
which
realized
makes
I was
sense.
not sharing that document. So here's the document, and there is a lot of I kind of zoomed in a little bit, but there is a lot of chatter going on here. You can see um you can see it like up here and stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of chatter. I'm curious how well Google Docs is going to handle this. This is going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Cool.
I just like the fact that it seems like they're trying something new, and they're like, let's I think the goal was, let's get this document together, let's get people's opinions on here, then we will turn it into an RFC, then we will figure out the next steps.
Well, I applaud them for trying something different, at least, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Where are we at on time? Oh man,
We're
we're at
just
about
over.
there.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Getting away from Pear and PECL. Yeah, I mean, I wonder if they'll still call it PECL when it's the new version,
I
or if they'll
forgot
come up with
about
a new name.
Pear. Holy smokes, I forgot about Pear.
I,
Wow.
I still deal with Pear packages. I have
Really?
yeah. Well, I say I deal with them. They have been brought into the code base and upgraded for us at this point. It's like they're dead packages. Nobody uses them. Keep them up to date until we can finally get rid of them. It's only a couple, but
If you're
yeah.
too young to remember Pear, Pear was the composer of the day. And that's being very generous with saying that. I'm being very generous. But Pear was like this
It was huge.
centralized place where you can find all these packages that people had created for PHP. Yeah, it's just
It, it
insane.
I mean, it was Composer in the sense that it allowed you to install third-party libraries or other people's code pretty easily, but it didn't do the step of, you know, version control,
Mhm.
dependencies of dependencies. It was like, no,
Mm.
just give me this, and you had to figure out if you had the stuff you needed to go with it to make it work.
So yeah, I keep forgetting to share all this stuff. I keep forgetting to click buttons and crap. Yeah, it's still out there. So it's
I mean,
filtered by PHP 4, PHP 5, all PHP versions. I
that
think I'm not sure this is being updated anymore.
I'm surprised it's only 603. I think they still have the documentation around for all all the crap and archive zip. I mean, all these things I used to use.
Yeah, I remember so many of these things. I remember how excited I would be when I found a pair package. I'm like, cool, I don't have to code this. There's a pair package. And then, half the times, like the documentation wasn't great and you're trying to figure stuff out. And there was no standardization. Like with at least with Composer, there's a standard way of how things get implemented, how packages are built and everything. It was a different time. It was a
Yeah.
different time.
I think Kevin's right. Pair was system wide. It was part of your PHP install versus being per package. Yeah, it would install in
It
like,
must have been. Yeah, it had
yeah,
to have been
yeah,
back then. Yeah.
yep. You're 100% correct.
Yeah.
You
Cool,
made it
man.
per package by bringing it in.
All right. Do you want to do that other one, or we gotta save that for later?
Which one are you talking about?
Well, you only have 2 on your
Oh,
in your.
those have been sitting there for months at this point. They're probably both dead.
Oh, okay, let's kill them off. I had something happen, and I'm curious if you've noticed it And if this is like a standard, I assume it's a standard feature in Apple. I always feel like I have to say, if you've listened to the show long enough, you know, I need to come up with a shortcut for that. John and I were on Pop! OS for a few years. And I started having issues with my Pop! OS desktop a few weeks ago, which is a big problem because it literally crashed on me right when we finished recording one night, and I barely made it through. And I forgot what was happening. I'm like, I'll rebuild it when I get back. I think I might have been going to Nashville at the time, or Longhorn. I don't know. Maybe it was Longhorn because it's just recently happened. And I keep procrastinating on rebuilding it. So I moved over to my M2, Apple M2, which John and I had bought some M2s for PHP Tech to do video editing and to do video streaming at the conference. So I had this M2. I'm like, hey, let me just go ahead so I can get my work done. Let me get this going. And I actually have a great setup now. I have this huge screen that allows me to have my Pop! OS desktop and my M2 desktop on the screen at the same time. And with Synergy, I just go back and forth, and it's like I got one big desktop. It's fantastic. Except for the fact that my Pop machine still is having issues, and I'm still procrastinating rebuilding it because I got it. Like I don't want to rebuild it. And they're coming out with the new Cosmic desktop at some point. I'm like, I'll rebuild it when the new desktop comes out. And anyways, I noticed today my battery said it's only at 80%. I'm like, what the hell? Like, my laptop is almost always plugged in. And I checked it out, and if I click on it, it says power source, power adapter, charging on hold, rarely used on battery. So it's like, I guess it's a feature in Macs now that it doesn't want to fully charge your battery if you don't use your battery, so that it doesn't kill your battery too early.
Huh.
You can turn it off. They don't force you to do that. You can 100% turn it off. But I'm like, yeah, no, I'm pretty much always plugged in. So yeah, I'm fine. Keep it like that.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm on my Mac full time now. You made a great point prior to going to Longhorn. Like, you should start using it so that you're ready to go. Because prior to that, I would break it out so rarely, and then trying to get it all up to date and getting everything working, I just never
Yep.
did. Like you said, after tech, it basically sat there doing nothing. And I wanted to be productive when I was away. And now that I'm up and running on it, not only can I work on it, yes, Docker is slower. The big thing with Linux was Docker was so much faster. But the things I can do on it that I couldn't do on my Pop! OS machine is making it like I'm not going back right now. I still have it. I switch over to it occasionally when I need to do something on Linux that I can't do on Mac, but for the most part, I'm on it. Editing the magazine, having to fire up VirtualBox, Windows, to
That's
do
true.
anything was a pain in the ass. Where now I can fire up InDesign and it works. So having the Adobe suite available to me much faster is so nice. And then that whole not having to keep things in sync, not having to say, oh, I was working in this repo in PhpStorm on my Linux machine. Now I'm moving back to my Mac because I got to walk away for, an hour. I don't have to worry about that sync of let's make sure everything's pushed up, everything's pulled down. How long has it been since I've, upgraded?
How long has
this
it been
thing?
since Dropbox has synchronized? Yeah.
Right. All of those things. So it's like, okay, now my daily driver is back on my Mac, and then my Linux machine is more of, okay, I can't do this on Mac for some reason. Let me go over here and do it.
Interesting. It's funny because I don't notice that big of a difference. Like you said, Docker is just still horrible. It's funny because you talk to Mac people like, oh, it's so much better. I'm like, no, it's horrible. Trust me. Get on a Linux machine. You'll understand what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
But like the way I had my workflow set up on my Pop OS machine, I can almost mirror that workflow on the Mac. And like, and even the look and feel. I remember that was the big thing back in the day, is like the look and feel of Mac was so different than anything else out there. But honestly, now not so much. It's very, very on par. Like if I had to go back to if I rebuilt my Pop OS machine and need to go back to it, today, I would be perfectly fine. I'm like, all right, well, that was fun for a while. The only thing I will say that I do like on the Mac is the menu bar. The little icons of the menu bar have a lot more functionality than on my Pop OS machine. So the menu bar on the Mac has more integration into the OS, whereas on Pop OS, there's too many factors, right? Between the app and what's running on the OS and what OS you're running and all this other stuff, that it doesn't have that integration. So I do like that. But that's like a quality of life thing. It's like, I can still get my work done just as fast without it. So if I didn't
Yeah.
have it, it'd be great.
You're not sucked into the Apple ecosystem. Like I'm back into that ecosystem where I switch back to the iPhone. So messages, FaceTime, photos, that I hate that I like it. Like I fought it for so long, and I hate that I'm back to liking it, but I do.
I
And I'm
hate you
mad
for
about it.
liking it too. So there.
I'm mad about it. For years, I was on Android, and I would touch my wife's iPhone and I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. Never doing this. Not happening. And yeah, back into it.
Well, we all make bad decisions, John. You'll grow out of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, that's our saga of OSs. I wish I could screen share how smooth my experience is, and like even when I get my well, I know for a fact I'm never not going to have the two machines now. I originally that wasn't my intention when I bought this monitor. I just assumed I would run. Well, I was just running the Pop OS on it at first. Then I had my issues and went to the Mac. So I always had the intention of just running one OS on it at a time. But now that I have this, and I still have my my Pop OS and have that power there, even though I don't use the GUI a whole lot, I use most of my GUI over here. But like right now, one of my issues was real estate management. I have my Docker in Slack and stuff still running on my Pop OS machine, and it's just nice. It's just there, and it's just like being utilized. So
So
this
are
is my
you
new
using
thing.
both OSs full time? Like, do you have
Mhm.
something running? So because what I'm doing right now is I have synergy between the two machines, so I can still use the same keyboard and mouse. My Linux machine is my third screen, so I've got two already to the Mac. Linux is a third machine, and all I do is switch the input on my big monitor, and now I'm on my Linux machine. So my 37-inch widescreen monitor switches between Mac and Linux depending on what I'm doing.
Yeah. No, yeah, I just have them both up running all the time, and depending on what I'm doing, I mean, I'm definitely using the Mac OS as my primary, and I'm still having issues with the Pop OS. About once a week, it'll just stop responding and go away, and I have to do like a hard power cycle to get it back. So I definitely, definitely not 100%. So like all my development, my PhpStorm and stuff are running on Mac. But no, I'll have Slack. I'll have well, the Discord bot is still running on the Pop machine. I'll even
So,
have the browser open.
see, I think I would be annoyed not being able to drag my windows across. So
So
it's almost like,
occasionally, I totally forget. I totally forget that they're two machines, and I'll try to do that, and I'm like, "What the hell's going on? Why won't this come out?" Oh, yeah, that's right. That's the other machine. And and also Synergy says that you can drag files now, and I can't seem to get that to work. It does. I can't seem to drag files from one to the other. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong there, but it's so rare that I have to do that. I don't worry about it.
Yeah,
All right.
that's we're sysadmins. We can easily SCP files from one machine to another.
Oh my God, John, we have to talk a little longer because we have yet to thank our supporters on Patreon. Oh my God, John, I forgot to upload the new Patreon thank you. Why did I make it? Is this the new one? I might be uploading it right now as we're talking. It's hard
That
to
works.
say. Nobody
That
can be
works.
sure.
No one will
Things
never
happen.
know. No one will
It's a
know.
it's
No
a
one will
slow
ever know.
process. I don't
It's all
know.
good.
We
It's
will
all
be
good.
thanking our Patreon supporters in about 45%. Yeah.
If you haven't gotten your ticket yet, blind early bird pricing will be going away soon. I don't know exactly when. We will be announcing the schedule, hopefully before the end of the year, if not way sooner.
Yeah, and I'm getting asked a lot by people who did submit talks of, hey, how long is this going to take? I want to be able to make plans or family vacations. Yeah, this isn't happening. Now it's processed in the video. We're just gonna
That's
go
fine.
with the November Patreon thank you page and just act like that's snow in the background. That says December up in the corner there. Thank you, all of our supporters on Patreon. We do
Yes, thank you.
we appreciate you very much. Um,
Um,
I am getting asked a lot by people who submitted talks of, when will they know? When will they know? The thing I shared today is, well, John and I do have everything scheduled out, and we've been holding holding ourselves to that schedule pretty well. Provided everything continues to kinda go the way it's been going, you should know by the end of the month. That's what we have scheduled. By the end of the month, we wanna be able to start scheduling flights for speakers, hotel rooms for speakers. So that's our goal right now.
what would have helped was last week when we said, "Hey, do you want to help with the talk selection?" If more people would have said, "Hey, yes, I want to help."
It's true. That would've been nice of them.
Um, if you did submit to speak, um, obviously we will make it right by you because obviously you didn't get a blind early bird ticket because you're hoping to be selected to talk. So don't worry about that. That's kind of typical in most conferences. If you still want to attend, you will be able to.
Yeah, we'll make sure we take care of you, and we'll make sure we take care of, our listeners as well. We did it last year. We took care of everybody.
We take care of our Patreon supporters better though.
We do that. Yes, we do. We took care of Patreon supporters really well last year. Oh, where you at with that, by the way? You announced last week
Hey, don't you have something else you want to talk?
that we're gonna start giving our Patreon supporters a free subscription to PHP Architect magazine, digital version.
Yep, we will do that before the next release, I hope.
I'm scared how long our next release is gonna be now.
The next release will be in 2025, but it'll be before the next release.
All right, cool. So that's
No.
that's coming down the line. We did have a couple questions because obviously they're listeners to the show. A lot of people are already subscribers. Um, we've been asked, can they gift it? Can they extend their current subscription? John and I are going to talk through it all. Honestly, what we can do and automate, we totally will. We're not trying to like squeeze every penny out of everybody. That's what it comes down to is like, okay, if we can think of a way to automate this where we don't have to go in there and manually intervene with it, we'll allow it. But until then, it's kind of like, okay, well, you're going to have to wait and see, and we'll figure that out. We will
Pretty
not
much.
commit to anything.
Because there's a couple of things there. Like, we're dealing with code that we didn't write, so we still have to figure out how to make it all all work.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look, you got it updated.
I did.
Wow.
Wow.
So yeah, there's just lots of moving bits and pieces.
And we did. Ben Ramsey last week exposed our Easter egg that John and I had been doing for years in the magazine. We're not saying he's the first one to notice, but he was the first one to publicly mention it where it got our attention. And if you didn't listen last week, if you look at the magazine, since John and I took it over, the edited by is always some message or something.
It's usually very silly or stupid, and you're like,
Yeah.
what? But we were just
yeah,
wondering how long it'd take people to notice.
I honestly didn't think it would take that long, as long as it did. I was actually very surprised, but we I like Easter eggs. That's one of my things. I really enjoy Easter eggs. So I'm going to think of another one. I'll think of another one. It's not going to be in any of this release or next release probably, but I'll come up with another Easter egg, and I'll let you all know when it's there, and then you can start looking for it. So
People are gonna start making up Easter eggs.
that's it. That works. It just misinformation, confuse people.
We need to do something fun. Back in, I can't remember if it's 2011 or 2012. So I went to tech, and my first tech was 2010. And I think 2011, 2012, the owners at the time did a scavenger hunt for, I think it was for a free ticket to tech. And I had so much fun trying to figure it out. Like, what they did was they announced, on this date, we're going to start the scavenger hunt. The first person to get the correct answer gets a ticket. And they would start tweeting out clues. And then, like, every so often, they would release another clue. And I don't remember how many times I submitted, like, is it this? Is it that? And I was never right. But to me, that was fun. Except until I lost, and then I was mad.
It was fun right up to I realized I didn't win, and it sucked.
Yep.
All right,
But
I hate to tell
like
the
fun.
current. Oh, sorry.
That's it.
I hate to tell the current wife. The current wife in Discord, show comes current wife in Discord, says, "I'm a supporter and I worked at tech. I need a bonus." I
You
hate
got
to
a
tell you
bonus.
this.
He's sitting right here with me.
Thank you, John. I am the bonus. You're welcome. Those special things I've been doing for you, that's your bonus. You're welcome. What's wrong with me? I've got issues. I'm in so much
Was that really
trouble.
the direction you're going? Like, we were on the same wavelength there.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. Yeah. Thanks for stealing my thunder. Appreciate that.
Sorry, now I feel bad.
Ouch! All right, somebody needs a timeout. I can see that now. Somebody needs a timeout. I'm not gonna repeat it because the audio listeners won't know. But the show comes current wife came back with a response, and we're gonna have to have a conversation about it. All right, John, we've run pretty long today.
We did. I think that's a good place to wrap it up.
I feel like it's a good place too. It would be a better place if I had already put up the video,
or if you had a better partner to help do that stuff.
All right, that's going to do it for episode 362. I'm Eric.
I'm John. Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John, you know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole.
Thank you, Harry Mack.
Yes.
For your years of service. All right. Cool, man. That was a nice long one.
It was.
Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us.
It flowed well. I start writing to other people that helped with the talk, like selection.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't. Pros and cons, like the whole, you saw the same thing, and then you might see two talks on something like AI, and like you're comparing those together at that time, but then later on you're comparing them against other talks. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the way it kind of figures things out. You're comparing different talks against each other, and overall, I think the good talks bubble to the top.
Yeah. Yep. Very true.
Merry Techmas, I like it.
Oh, we might have to save that one for later. It's freaking Hewoods, man. You're too good at this. We might have to save that one, actually. I like that one, too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I want to try
don't have much more time to save it, but...
No, not too much. I wore the same hat I did last week because I felt like it was too early to get to the more hardcore hats. But I do... Here, let me make myself big here. I can see if you can see it. It's
very angled.
I do have the elephant wearing my favorite hat. That'll probably be the last hat I wear. So it is there. But
does it say Christmas loading?
This one says Christmas loading. Yeah, I like this one. I think this is my second favorite hat for the Christmas time. All right, I want to see if I can get Pretzel working, but I forgot to set it up. This is the thing. So Pretzel rocks, right? That's the name of the site. I'm not saying Pretzel rocks. Like I cannot get it to. I can't get the Mac OS client to install. It's so frustrating. Like I've had more problems.
Really?
Trying to get things like that working. That's the other thing. Like I forget that after being on Pop! OS for so long, I had a couple of repos I could go to, apt-get, Flatpaks. If you're really brave, you could install what's the other one? Snap. But I could install everything on that desktop from the command line, and I forget that, or the Pop! OS store. I forget there's a Pop! OS store. I rarely use it. So when I got to the Mac, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. They have the Apple Store. But I forget that, not everything is on the Apple Store. You've got to go to like individual sites again and find stuff. Yeah, man. It's just little things like that. I don't want to like act like, this is all like crazy new to me. It wasn't that long ago that we were using Mac as our everyday driver. just a little things that I forgot about. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like you can't just assume everything is in the
What
Apple Store.
what problem are you having with installing? Because it just installed fine for me. Download, move it to your applications folder, you're done.
Right. Now try logging in and see if you have the issue I had.
Oh, you can only log in with Twitch.
That's fine. But so get to
Oh, is
Twitch.
that what we use?
Yeah. That's what we use. So it wouldn't let me log in to Twitch. That's where like I couldn't even get rid of the accept cookies thing. It was driving me crazy. I'm gonna be so pissed if it works for you.
PHP Arch, password 1234.
Don't give away our password, so we can actually play more music streaming here.
Yeah, you're right. It's not.
Right?
It is busted. Beyond busted.
Okay. All right. Are you hearing anything?
Nope. Here's something. Yeah, it's very.
This is not working as well. Yeah, I still can't get. There's something different about audio hijack than what we were used to back in the day. It is nowhere near as good as it used to be. Just get some local music playing here.
Yep. Their system sucks.
There was another. I will say, I don't know what the other. I will say, if you are a Linux,
your audio is absolutely terrible when music's playing.
Is that better?
Yeah, way better.
Oh, I wonder why that is. It's not connected. Huh? That's a restream issue. That's not a Mac OS. No, it's a Mac OS issue. This is a piece of shit machine. No, it's a restream issue because these two things. That's the only place they're connected is on restream. If you're a Linux user, I highly encourage you. So I said Snap, Flatpaks, and AppKit. I use Brew on Linux almost. I would do either. I would
Brew on Linux.
Brew on Linux. It's a thing. Use it. And when I came back, not only did I use Brew, but you could list all the apps you had installed, and then when you come back to the Mac, you just Brew install on the Mac. It's Brew is my saving grace right now on Mac OS. There are even apps that you can install through Brew that are Mac OS specific apps. Now you can't install those on Linux. I don't want to get it twisted. It's not like, oh, hey, then I can install Mac apps on Linux. No, that's not like that. But yeah, Brew on Linux is a thing, and it works very, very well. It works exactly the same way as it works on the Mac. So all the commands are the same. Everything pretty much works the same. Strongly recommend it. I don't know who's behind it. I don't know if it's officially like the Brew project that's behind it or not. I haven't looked into it that closely, but it works really well. So yeah, if you're a Linux person, I know we have a few Linux people out there who listen to the show. It's Homebrew on Linux. And they're even talking about Homebrew Package Manager may be used on Linux or Windows Subsystem for Linux, WSL. Yeah, it's works good.
So it turns out if you wait long enough in Pretzel Rocks, it tells you your browser is not currently supported.
But you don't have an option. Like it,
I know.
it's their window.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah.
And of course, I use a lot of open source apps like Audacity, and quite honestly, they do run better on Pop OS. Audacity has gotten better on the Mac, but it still runs better on Pop! OS, and a lot of open source packages do. But as far as PhpStorm, I gotta be real with you. Haven't noticed a difference. I
outside of key bindings.
Well, I use Vim, so key bindings aren't even an issue for me. But
okay.
I know a lot of people used to say that PhpStorm was slow, and then we started hyping about, hey, the new PhpStorm isn't slow. I got to be real with you. I never really noticed it being slow on my Pop! OS machine, even with the old stuff, and I always just assumed it was like because the Pop! OS machine. But I did notice a performance enhancement when like the new stuff came out. Now on the Mac, it's just as snappy. Like I can't say I honestly notice any difference. And my Mac is way less powerful than my Pop! OS machine. So that's a compliment to the Mac. I can't say I noticed any difference between either machine as far as performance. And I haven't done a side by side. Keep in mind, I haven't like timed stuff.
Why do you think it's less powerful than your Linux machine? You got more memory.
We got more memory on
the Mac. You should have 50% more memory than you do.
I don't think so.
Really?
I mean, I'm seeing what I have, but I thought we had more than that on the Pop machine, right? No? Maybe I'm not remembering correctly.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I could be wrong. Have been before, will be again.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know where I am kind of leaning towards the, if I ever start, like it's just like those unexpected, oh, hey, I've got to work remote. I got to go meet with a client. I got to go do something moments where it's like, I feel better about that. I always said that with Tailscale, that reduced a lot of that stress. It did. It did reduce a lot of that stress. But it's still nice to just, like, be able to pick up your laptop and walk out the door. And yes, I could buy a Pop! OS, a System 76 laptop, but we bought the Macs because it ran the streaming software we needed. There was just things that ran on the Mac, unfortunately, that don't run on the Pop! OS machine natively, and it wasn't a battle worth fighting for any reason, so we just did that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. We do have more memory. How about processors?
Well, it's a little hard to compare, but the M2 versus the AMDs that I think we have.
Yeah.
Now, GPU should be different. The GPU in the Linux machine should be way better.
Yeah, well, that's what.
But from my understanding, the GPU in the M2 is really good too. It's just not the same.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not saying I see any performance issues with the M2. I thought I was complimenting it, but I guess there's not that big of a difference, like I initially thought, between the two machines.
Yeah, it's scary how fast laptops have gotten.
Yeah. That's what took it. That's really what took us to System 76 before. Was just Docker, and we just couldn't seem to get the memory and disk space we wanted.
Well, back then you were maxed at what was it, 32 or 16 in a Mac?
I think it was 32.
And it was like annoying.
Yeah. Yes, it was. Finally got over that hump, thank goodness. All right, we need. Let me see. If anybody's still listening, let's do some voting on titles here. Oh, see, here we go. I was just about to do it. I was going to share my screen, but I've got it open on my Linux machine, and I can't share it because it's on the other computer. Shit. All right. Well,
Ken, you just have to join as another user.
Yeah, we're not doing all that. Buttery, you are a bad person. I'm not going to say what the title was, but it's pretty damn funny. Falling off the ladder. We do have to do a ladder one. I think a ladder is PHP pickle. PHP pickles. I feel like ladder needs to be in this one. Oh, ladders and glue guns. That is even better, A Woods. I feel like I want to do ladders and glue guns. We go all week long. Reimagining pickle, whatever. Back to the Mac. The early bird gets the ticket. I feel like we used that one last year. Merry Texmas. We are definitely going to have to hold on to that one. Happy Decahana. Hey, what is wrong with you? Jesus Christ. The name is I can't. He did a play on ThePrimeagen. PHP Dude, we should totally change one of our YouTube channels to that. I'm sure we can get a few extra subs with that. I don't know. Anybody listening? We still got people? Oh man, still got 10 people. Holy smokes! What's wrong with y'all? Get a life. Let me know. I'm leaning towards ladders and guns. Ladders and glue.
Ladders and guns and ladders.
I'm trying to do a shoots and ladders off of it. So I'm thinking glue guns and ladders, like shoots and ladders. I think that's what we should do. And it's totally going to be a thumbnail of you falling off a ladder, John. I can't see how it can be anything else. Yeah, I mean, unless y'all feel strong about. Oh wait, I missed nothing fits. Nothing fits.
Kevin, you asked, has microservices hype settled in terms of talk submissions? No, there was quite a few microservices sessions as well.
Yeah, there were.
Had you stepped up to rate some talks, you would have known that. Just saying. You still got a few hours. If you have an hour and a half tomorrow, you can still do it.
Oh yeah, I meant to ask you that on the stream. How long, if somebody still wants to rate talks for us, is there still time?
Technically, I put the 9th. There's nothing holding us to that date. I could say, evaluations through the end of the weekend.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Maybe if we get a lot of, I mean, we didn't talk about it on the show, so we probably won't. But if we get a lot of interest, like if the people listening really want to jump on, I'd feel fine extending it to over the weekend.
Yeah. I mean, we're not going to make decisions this weekend anyway, so I might as well at least do that.
All right, I gotta open up Discord and see what people are talking about. NoCal or NorCal kid. NorCal implies something completely different. NorCal kid, if you're doing a thumbnail for me, I'm gonna go with. I still want to go with glue guns and ladders, like a shoots and ladders. So let's do that. Glue guns and ladders. And I want to remind you of the fact that John fell off a ladder this week. So I'm just saying.
Wait, what happened?
Having me in the background laughing, I wouldn't reject that thumbnail. All right. Okay. Yeah. Yep, that all looks good. Got all set up for next week. All right, I can't do anything until I can do show notes still. If you want to hang out with people.
I'm just editing all the dates. I'm setting it to basically Monday at noon. So
you're just gonna edit the dates now?
Yeah. So I made the deadline on evaluation Monday at noon. If anyone cares and wants to jump in there. Again, for the other ones were a lot quicker. I want to go look at some of those.
Yeah, you
The
get to
fifth,
rate everything. You get to rate keynotes, the 30-minute talks, the long sessions. In the long sessions, there are a lot fewer submissions.
no, the long sessions were the long ones.
No, the Monday, the training session.
Yeah, the tutorials.
Tutorials. That's the word I've been looking for all night. Thank you for taking your time to let me know that.
Yeah. I think you spent 20 minutes on that. For keynotes, you spent 10 minutes.
Read off my stats so everybody knows.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. And for tutorials, you spent 7 minutes. See, it really is because there are so many of the traditional talks that it just takes time. Kevin, it's not so much if we need help. Like, it's we like getting other people's opinions. Like, we know what we like. It's more of this is a community thing to us. We want to include people in the community that want to be a part of it, but there's no pressure. You don't have to. I can tell you that I am going to be giving people that do complete the evaluations a really good discount on tech tickets if you were planning on attending anyway.
You gotta stop giving away these tech tickets, man.
I didn't say give away a ticket. I said give away a good discount. It's going to be a good discount on the ticket. You're the one that said giveaway. It's not happening.
You got to stop being a dick and give away some tickets, John. Jesus. All right. Show notes are done. I love my little show note script.
Kevin, if you want to delete that message, or if you don't care about your email being out there, that's fine too. But invite sent if you want to participate.
Yeah, I meant to bring it up. I don't know if it was Kevin, but I meant to bring up one of the benefits of like a JSON column or a document store is like the not having to adhere to a schema. So we had this conversation. See, I'm always torn on some of these talking points because like we've talked about this so many times over the last 5 years, however long we've been doing this, 6 years, 7 years. It's like, but then you have listeners that haven't listened the entire time and still have the same questions.
Okay, you are correct. You always have a schema. It's just not explicit. It's just more of being able to stuff other data in there that you weren't originally planning on is nice. Or having documents of different shapes is also nice.
Yeah, that's another real good thing. Or allowing the user to define the data. Like, oh yeah, so social media handles are example. Oh yeah, I have Threads, I have Twitter, I have X, I have. You don't have to like have that in your head. They don't all have to be separate columns. Just like, okay, here's a JSON column type called social, and then whatever they put in there, we'll just spit it back out.
Yeah. Traditional relational is definitely more maintainable. Reliable, I don't necessarily agree with unless you're talking about foreign key constraints, which I use a lot.
Yeah, that's that whole data integrity. It's like, again, I agree. Like it's a hard. I don't know. There are people in both camps that are willing to make the argument of the best way and what's more reliable, what's more maintainable. Being from a relational database for so long, I struggle a lot with CouchDB and creating views and understanding how I can parse the data from the database without having to pull it in the application and how to optimize all that. I still struggle with that. But somebody who knows Couch really well, it's like a no-brainer to them. It's super simple. It's tough. It depends on how big it is and how much control you want, or how much control you want to divide up as a manager or owner of a company. You're like, hey, I don't want my developers having to worry about data integrity if they don't have to. Yes, I want them to do validation, but I want that last line of defense on the data on the server. So we'll stick with something that I can do that on. So
Yeah, I think there's also the element of what did you grow up using? Where did you get started? Did you get started in relational, or did you get started in NoSQL? If it was relational, did you get started with MySQL or Postgres? Or did you go to school and you like, okay, I really understand the differences? Because people that know databases deeply seem to prefer Postgres almost
or if
all the
if you
time.
if you're really big, Oracle. Like
Right.
the guys I worked at, you couldn't even hint at using anything but Oracle. It was like, yeah, no, it's Oracle, because they try to introduce Microsoft SQL, and this when I was in the enterprise, they introduced Microsoft SQL. I forget why Microsoft was doing some sort of integration. They're like, oh, this is better, and the DBA team basically said, we're not managing it. We are Oracle shop. That's what we do. We only do Oracle. You guys can take care of this if you want it. I'm like, damn. I think Postgres recently overtook MySQL in popularity. Really, you think? I think a lot of people.
I'd be a hard press on that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like to say they prefer Postgres, but in reality, you're just going to MySQL. And I don't know there's as big of a difference as there used to be. I know that previously there used to be like some geolocation stuff in Postgres that MySQL didn't have, but now MySQL has geolocation, and
I think it's that object mapping piece where you can almost define an object versus just table relationships.
Yeah, we talked about that, right?
Yeah,
we found that video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
Kevin, are you a Postgres or MySQL guy? Oh, you just installation. I'm curious because, like I said, you sound like you're a database dude. Or yeah, I'm curious if you have an opinion and why.
And I'm assuming that PECL is cleared up. I'm hoping it repaired itself or is repaired and is good.
What repaired what?
He was the one with the pec tear. The bruise on his arm. Yeah.
Okay, so you've used Postgres, you used MySQL. Do you if you had the option? I understand you say you mostly use MySQL. I don't know if you have the option there. If you had the option, would it be MySQL or would it be Postgres? And why? Like, what is your take on that? We really need to open up Discord and just like start having people like join in on the after show. Maybe Postgres. I don't know. Oh, this isn't in the audio podcast, anyways.
Right.
I agree. Yeah. Their rate performance has issues. Okay. Yeah.
That's interesting.
I've never been at that big of a scale, so it's never been that big of a thing, and MySQL's always been there for me. All right, we need to end the stream. That's the only way I can start editing the podcast for our European folk who like to listen to the podcast in the tube, as they say. So I need to wrap this up. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us.
Yes, thank you so much.
We'll see you in Discord, and if we don't, we'll see